Okay, so the Vav, let's remember the Mivne, the build of the Maimer. It's talking about the Sulam, and the Sulam is at once the unit of Tefillah, and the Sulam is at once the what? What's the other dimension we're talking about? The dream of Yaakov. And the Shaila he's asking here now is, after having explained the levels of tefillah as reflected in B'chol Levavcha, B'chol Nafshecha, and then B'chol Ma'itcha, that is tefillah's Ashir. Okay, if what I'm saying is not understood, then we'll go further. But if I said now it's understood, in revisiting the question he asked at the beginning of the Maimer, that the Sar of Edom ascends in Yoshev Etzli. So the Sar ascends of Edom, of Rome, and sits by me, that's higher than Ishtal Shalus. How is it possible then that a Yid's Avodah, Tfilas Oni, Tfilas Oshir is the exceptional Avodah? It's not a demanded of everyone, but it's an exceptional Avodah. But the Tfilas Oni, which is Tfilas, he's pointed out, David HaMelech, it's all part of Malchus, the Avodah, the Aliyah of Malchus, reaches Mamala and Soiviv. Mamala Cholavavcha. Sev Kalalmin B'chol Nafshecha. That's the union of Menucha. Ma ha'olam chaser ba Shabbos ba Menucha, as explained at length previously. And yet, that's what the Avodah V'Yid reaches. And yet, Edom, the side of Edom, is Yoshev Etzli higher than Ishtal Shalus. That was the general question that he asked at the beginning of the Maimer. Now, Oisvav, someone tell me, what was the point of Oisvav? To make the question stronger.
That we said that there was a level where, like, right?
So
there's a level that
hang on. First point out the problem. He makes it a very clear question and a resolution, and then a problem. Question, not from this Maimer, B'chlal. There's contradictions, the resolution, and after the resolution, our question is now deepened. What's the contradiction?
So as an example, we can add a koyach, whatever that means.
The Maila, some places in simple language we affect God, and some places say we don't affect God. And there are clear, Chazal and Psukim. What are the two Psukim, the two conflicting quote unquote Psukim that he brought?
Which is adding strength,
Yeah. And the flip side of that, also part of that is Suyilot Chateshi. That's all part of the raya that the rock that gave birth to you, you have weakened through your sin. So that means we affect. And then Pasuk in Eov. Yeah, the Pasuk in Eov is Im Chatas Matifa. And on this, the Medrash says, no, it's not on Eov. It's another Medrash. But the Medrash says that does Hashem care whether you shecht from the throat or you kill the animal from the neck? And the Medrash concludes, Ella, a very strong statement, mitzvahs were only given that tzar ben esabriyas to refine the creatures. God is not affected, it's completely for us. So how do Chassidus reconcile it? Which level is affected? It's in the Psukim. Yeah. What are the two names of the Eibishter that are invoked here, that are clearly affected? Adnan Elikim, which correspond to Mamal in Seviv. So there, as we said before, Yid reaches those levels and therefore affects them. And moreover, so how does he affect them? Let's hit the nail on the head. How does he affect them? He says in the Maimon exactly what does a Jew achieve and how he achieves and brings a pasuk in the Raya. What does he do?
Through your Avodah, you bring your mamshech new energy or
More specific, there's a madrege, there's a pasuk. Shem Havaya, as the pasuk says, he's mamshech Shem Havaya in Shem Adna and Shem Malikim. What's the pasuk? No, that's the next level. The pasuk that addresses that we're mamshech Shem Havaya in Mamala and Soiver, filling that chesaron, as we explained, the two levels of chesaron. V'shomro derech Havaya simply means you shall what? Observe the ways of God, but the deeper meaning is a derech, you're mimamshech, the derech, bringing God on a path, Shem Havaya on a path, to mamshech it from the level of Shem Havaya per se into Shem Adnei Elikim. And moreover, finally, even Chiddush, there's a Tosfos even in Shem Havaya, which is Soiviv. Shem Havaya is Soiviv. Adnei Elikim is Mamale. Did we? I think we said that right. Not yesterday, not now. Adnei Elikim is Mamale. Now he wants to conclude his argument, which is now B'chol Nafshecha, and that he's rectify that is mamshech even in Shem Havaya. That's what Soiviv Kol Almin is. Adnei Elikim is Mamala Kol Almin. So therefore, here, that's where the Beprati is making the question. So how's he made his question stronger now?
How can you have Etzli that the Yid's way that can affect
The Yid affects only where
to a certain degree, which is
Soiviv Mamal, even Shem Havaya. Tosfos Eren Shem Havaya, Reich Nichoich Lavaya. You've caused Havaya pleasure. It means you've added something to Shem Havaya. But still Soiviv Kalam. And here, the Medrash says, no wonder Yaakov was so frightened that Yoshev Etzli. Okay. The matter is Zion. Now, what comes next is one of the most difficult in Yonim Chassidus to understand. It is based on the most primary, simplest texts possible that in Kabbalah, the HaTschaim, that describes the whole process of creation using language that is fraught with the possibility of gross misinterpretation, as many Gdolei Yisrael did. So the hasbara, the language is used there, lends itself to their interpretation. It's not actually, they don't interpret, they just take things as face value. So I'm just telling you heads up and looking at ahead, it's a very deep Indian to begin to try and understand. You have to really toil. Let's get the mechanics of it, what he's saying, and then we'll try and understand it. Maybe, maybe not. So to explain this, that Adam is Yoshev Etzli, he explains in the Maimar of the Rebbe Rashab, upon which this Maimar is based, and the Rebbe Adol is Atele Matzosi Inyin Zeh B'Mokim Mach Givald. He doesn't find this anywhere else in Chassidus. In the Rebbe's humility, to this point, they haven't found it anywhere. What's coming is not found anywhere else but there and this Maimar here. By first prefacing this, that's what he brings there. He's makdim.
He said that twice in this Mimer, Agaborcha.
Yeah.
Not this exactly, but similar. Like such a mushal earlier in the Mimer, and here he says,
he said that. Well, what was it there? Talking about the avodah of Elam Asiyah, the first shlav in the abundance of avodah is the Krishma Ktana and Kabbalah. That's just not the same as this. That is not a beer. That's just identifying protim in the first love. Here is a beer, is something very, very novel that doesn't appear anywhere else. And it's not stammer beer. It's addressing the most thorny question: what's Edom doing, Yoshev Etzli? It's not an incidental little shaila here. It's Jews in Golus, where we are right now. Where's Edom? And what are we subject to? This is like the biggest subject that we're dealing with. So let's see. והקדם הידוע בחילוק שבין הקו לרשימו. The difference between the kav and the reshima. Kav means line and reshima means the trace. So let me tell you what it says in Ha'Tschk. In the beginning, the Ein Sof filled everything. That's already like fraught with, what does that mean? There is everything there isn't. What's going on? Anyway, every word is absolutely puzzling and needs, reams of my modem to unravel. Akoponim, that's what it says. In the beginning, the Ein Sof filled everything. Then Siluk Eirei HaGadol El Atzad. He removed his great light to the side, and then there remained of it. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if this is Ha'Tschk or this is added in another primary text. I should know that the makar of the Rishim. I don't know if it says it there, but Akapanim, removing the Ein Sof leaves a trace, an impression of the Ein Sof. Now, in kids in Cheder, 12-year-old kids, when they first encounter this in the Torah or whatever it is, so they tell them, I don't know, it's good even to give it such a marshal, because you're stuck then with physical imagery. But if you write something, even Chassidus might even bring this, mind you, you write something and then you erase it, there's still a trace, an impression. An impression of what? Of what? Of the Ein Sof. Then comes the kav. And the kav is this projection of divine light that projects through the tzimtzum, producing what? What does it produce? Or what is it? Say the shtalshalus. A kav means a line, and a line means an upper point and a lower point, higher and lower. So the holding of the tzimtzum produces, say, the shtalshalus, levels, dargis, and further and closer. Be'emes further and closer. Not the Ibish's perspective, but from the perspective of the consequence, which is the point, this closer and this further. So now comes the big news. Okay, so that's the piece of information we need to know for our understanding of it is whatever it is. Now, it's known. There's no source for where it's known. And that is, here's the big news. Shakav kotzer, the thin line, this projected line, gradation, this line of divinity, which then illuminates in the makom HaOlah post tzimtzum. It's the tzimtzum that creates this kav. It's the screening of the divine light. From which whole ishtalshalus comes from the kav. Quite simply put, ishtalshalus is all points on the kav. That's what it is, basically. So here comes the big news. Even though the kav is rooted in the Ein Sof before the tzimtzum, that's what's being using Gashmi, the imagery, the light is removed, now the light's projected. So what's the source of the Eir? From the Ein Sof, but it's being projected through the tzimtzum. Even though the Eir Lifnei HaTzimtzum is now being projected and producing the kav, but it's an Eir that's affected by the tzimtzum. Doesn't bypass the tzimtzum, it's affected by the tzimtzum. Mashenkin Arashimu, this impression that is left, in which existence then emerges, this rishimu is actually higher than the source of the kav. because it's a paradox. The oil is removed, but the trace that's left, as it were, is from the pure oil itself, unaffected by the tzimtzum. The kav is what's affected by the tzimtzum, producing finite revelations and higher and lower, etc. Not finished yet. Let's just read a bit further. For some reason, somehow it slipped yesterday, didn't look further. So I'll learn it, God willing, sometime, I guess tonight, and Be'ez Hashem have more hasbara. But let's just learn together. Talking about the Rishimu. So the Rishimu, which is like the again, it's the mark or the impression.
He's speaking about
That is still
sorry.
what?
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is left as a result of the Oil Ein Sof, and he's saying it's be'etzem unaffected. The big paradox here is there's no Gilui. There's no Gilui here. The Oil Ein Sof has been removed. But he's saying it be'emes is expressive of the Oil Ein Sof on one level, higher than the highest level of the Kav, which is Gilui. Because the Kav is produced by the Tzimtzum period. It's a light, it's a defined light, a light that carries the properties of the overt properties of finitude, whereas the Rishimo carries the impression, not revelation, but the impression of the pure bligvulness of the Oil Ein Sof. But these words somewhat understood, or they're just perches ba'avir. I mean, the perches ba'avir, but even perches ba'avir, floating in space, it's some understanding. I'll say it again. The paradox that he's saying is that the Rishimo, even though the Oil Ein Sof has been removed, and all that's left is a Rishimo, there's Meshalim for this, I'll try and remember, of Rishimo, better Meshalim than writing on a paper. I don't know if this is important Chassidus or not, but having, I don't know if it's an accurate Moshe, but I'll say it. A person once understood a very deep idea and forgot it. That's one matziv. Second matziv, an idea that's not so deep, but he remembers, and it's relatively much more limited, and it's limited compared to the very transcendent idea that he'd learned and once had some appreciation of, and now just can't revisit it. So the emes is, so that's a moshel for the Rishim. Moshel for the Rishim is he once had this tremendous revelation, and then that's he cannot resummon it. He forgot it, as opposed to advar seichel that he's understand and worked through and wrote a thesis of. And wrote a paper on, and still has it in front of him. So the emes is that where is the etzem ha-seichel revealed more present in a way. In a way, obviously, there's no seichel if you forgot it. You can't say anything. It's just there, just in silence. I just can't remember again. And the idea that he's saying that is articulated. So where's intellect? Where's oir? Here's the moshe of oir in the moshe I'm giving you is the seichel, the revelation of the idea. So where is the greater oir in the concept that the teacher is teaching, where the person knows consciously? But the emes in the Rishimo is still left, because since he once entertained it. So in his mind still left is a trace kavayochel of a seichel that's far beyond the seichel that he can articulate with structure and form, even though he can't articulate it. But it's there in a very latent way. So the Rebbe is saying here, this word is saying, the Rebbe Rashab is saying, that embedded in Ishtalshalus is the Rishim. Rishim is the impression that's left upon which all of Ishtalshalus is then emerges. embedded at the foundation of Ishtalshalis not in a revealed way is be'emes what? The uncompromised Eir Ein Sof. More in all of Ishtalshalis. More than the highest level of the Kav of Atzilus, the highest levels of the Kav. What's not articulated, what's not revealed is much deeper than that which is revealed.
It's an impression by definition compromise.
When you say it, what it would explain your question? No, elaborate.
Saying that it's not compromising, it's not. I understand how it's different than the order that creates worlds eventually, but it's still not the order. So
No, it's not. So, but I say not compromised is it's a not compromised impression, but it says all the chesroinus of a Rishima as opposed to Gilui. Back to Amoshel, he knows, although he cannot summon the idea, but he knows that he had it, and his knowledge of he had it evokes what emotion to use, an awe, but an appreciation of that idea that he once experienced or saw, or was granted to him. There's still that, even though he cannot articulate it and cannot embrace it, but he's still connecting to its purity on some level. Now, moreover, let's go further. Let me learn a weiter, and then we'll leave explanations for tomorrow, if at all. But moreover, so from the Rishimu is from the Klolas ha'olah shalei noga b'atzimtzum. Umishtal shel v'yere l'mata yoyse. The Rishimu becomes the source then. Liyei sheresh hakelim. The paradox, the irony is the huge paradox. The kelim are, of course, in Ishtalshalos at every level. It's the lower dimension. There's the Oir and the Keli. The Keli is always the lower one. So he's saying the Keli is really rooted in the Rishimu, and the Rishimu, we said, has the impression Shalei Noga B'Yatzimtzum. Liyei Sheresh HaKelim Shehem L'Mata Ma'oiris Sheshosha Me'akav. The Oir comes from where? The Kav, the revelation, that's the Oir. The Keli, which is lower than the Oir, paradox, is rooted in the Rishimu, where there's no revelation, but Be'emet, Be'pnimius, Be'etzem, higher than the Oir. Okay, Adkan. So with this novel teaching, we have the answer to how Edom, which is ultimate Helen Vehester, is where's Yoshev Etzli. Let's just read further, and again we'll try and understand, but just the general idea. Mavayer, Shazel Gamachiluk explains the Rebbe Rashab. Therein lies the difference. Shemin Bnei Yisrael Umas Ha'olah. Right, between Yidden and Umas Ha'olah, we're talking about Edom. Shemin Bnei Yisrael Ksiv Ki Chelek Havaya Amay. A part of Havaya is his people, a lot, a portion. Portion, simply speaking, that his people is God's lot, God's portion. The Eden are God's portion. Or the portion of Eden is the Eibishter. What's our lot is the Eibishter. But what are we seeing from the pasuk here? Sheshem Havayu B'chinas Ha'oros. What is it? Eden are bound up and connected. What's their root? Havaya. So what Shem Havayu B'chinas Ha'oros? Sheshor Shem Yakav. Havaya comes from that's rooted in the Kav, which is of lofty level at the highest points, but still Shor Ma'oros Shenoga B'Yatzimtzum. Yud Kei Vav Kei Adarges is Kidua. And there's two levels of Shem Havaya, but at any rate, it's letters, it's words, it's dargas, Yudis Chachmei, is Binavav, is the six midas and so on. So Yidna Kichelek Havaya. Shenkin Masoila Makablim Mishem Alikim. They come from Shem Elikim. The Shem Elikim overtly is a lower level. It's Tzimtzum, Helen, Vehester. First of all, we don't even mean Shem Elikim the way it is in Kedusha, Chas v'Sholem. Ki matzirufim the Shem Elikim. We mean the various ways. Tzirufim means the various combinations of letters and gematries and so on, which all point to, as explains in Tanya, the great Tzimtzum. But what's the Shorish of Shem Elikim? It's the Shorish of Shem Elikim is this Rishimu, this. So it comes out that what? The Shem Elikim is, its Shorish is higher than Shem Havaya. And that's ultimately where the Kelim comes from, and the Helen Vehester comes from, and the Umas Olam.
Umas Olam come from there, or
That's the
Umas
source.
Olam reach there?
Because they come from there, therefore they can reach there. He's going to say, not through Avodah.
But it's still Oyer at the end of the day.
What?
But at the end of the day, it's still Oyer. It's not Etzem.
Well, it's not but it's not, no.
It's not Etzem. It's Elikim. Elikim is a description. Even the highest description is
He's the
still a
middle. I
description.
hope
It's not
that
Etzem. Okay.
Let's not put words in the mind. He will explain, that's the whole construct of the Maimon. This Inyan is not, this is not, the Klolos Inyan here is not novel. That the Koyach HaGvul is rooted deep in the Koyach HaBli Gvul. This is a big sugi, that the Kalim are rooted deeper than the Oyer. And we see this with the person matter. We're made in the image of Hashem deliberately to have some kind of understanding, that it takes more effort to contain yourself than to express yourself. Even though to the outsider, when you're contained and you're not saying anything and you're holding yourself in, there's no gilui. But in truth, you're producing, you're expressing more energy, not gilui, but energy, when you don't say what you feel, contain your emotion, whatever it is, then when you express yourself, it takes a deeper parenting devotion to discipline. When the kid requires discipline, then to be lovey-dovey when the kid's cute. That's easy. So this is, just to finish the Inyan, this is the general Inyan here. It's the general subject here, that the Shem Elikim, rooted in the Tzimtzum. So it means, therefore, again, we don't want to make the Inyan Bakshoma. But when the Eibishter removed Silik Eiri HaGadol, that's kind of unnatural. Natural is Gilui Likus, even though that's ultimately nothing's natural. But in post-reality, post-creation, Gilui is natural. So the Eirin Tzof is Mamala, Makim HaOlah, that's natural. For the Eibishter to remove that, there's Helem. The Be'emes, he's coming from a deeper place within him. A deeper place is Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu, this Atzm is the Kavana from Dira B'Tachtonim. It's a deeper place within him than his natural revelation of his divine magnificence. In terms of Gilui, it's less, but Pnimis is deeper. Because Atzma desires a Dira B'Tachtonim, and then it takes the Avodah B'chol Ma'itcha to reveal that which is coming. So this general idea that the Shorish of Kelim, the Shorish of Tzimtzum, is deeper than the Oyer and Gilui is the general Inyan which we're explaining now, which we understand. Okay, what do you want to say?
I want to know why you're framing it as wool and legal. Again, when it comes out as Kalim and Oyer, yeah, but we're talking about Kav and Rishima. Kav is wool, right? Simpson and
Gaber Rishim, it's Gilui. Kav is Gilui. It's Gilui. It's Gilui that Noga by a Tzimtzum, but it's Gilui. The whole point of Kav is Gilui.
but it's not bleak bull or versus bull, it's more gili
It's-
versus tela.
It's believable. Agabi the Rishima, it's believable. Relatively, it's believable. It's rooted in the Ein Sof. Naga Bayatzimtzum. Naga Bayatzimtzum. Whatever that hasbar is, but it's still, relatively speaking, believable. It's Ein. It's a very relative terms, very elastic terms, very relative terms. Okay. So we just finished the paragraph. So since at the end of the day he's saying that the whole hell of a Hester is rooted in the Rishimo, which is higher than the Kav. And that's Umasailam, Golos, the whole business. So therefore, by them could be the Akbar, but they're a chutzpah bilvad. You don't belong there. You don't belong, period. You know why you exist? Because there's nisava, there should be a dir b'tachtoinim. That's the chutzpah component is, it's not earned, and it's not, at this point, it never is, a legitimate expression of the Eibishter right now. It's a deep kavara that's yet to unfold. But yeah, the Metzius is that the Sar of Edom goes all the way. Hey, I'm from the Rishima. Higher than the Eir. Can you deny that? True. But it's b'derech chutzpah. It's because, not because of your milo, because you've earned anything. It's because that's the kavan of the milo. There should be a helen v'hester. And your claim to be there as the expression in Yiddish is
a mechutten.
Yeah, a mechutten is b'derech chutzpah. You're not a mechutten because you're a mechutten. You're a mechutten because the Eibush has this crazy kavan of dir b'tachtonim. That's why you're there. So zay still. But meanwhile, he's not being zay still. Meanwhile, Edom is, because his service is in the Rishima, he's making a lot of noise and will cause a lot of trouble. If a Yid is there, he's earned his place. So therefore, Li is HaOlah actually. So he took Davka Edom ascends because that's his ultimate source. Sit by me. The Rishima, which is carries still the trace of the Ein Sof unfiltered. Okay, we'll just say these words when we visit tomorrow. And this is the level Taku, nothing makes a difference. That's why he's there. And that's a level, as we said in the whole Maimah till now, that is not Shaykh and Ichsara. And therefore there's no tefillas oni there. And doesn't reach there. Okay, we'll revisit this, and the Nebuchadnezzar's response, don't be afraid, Yaakov. I'll bring him down. This is Tfilas Osher. This is the ultimate avodah. As I told you, this is really the theme of the Maimah.